The topic that we choose for this environmental science assignment is water pollution. Here are our team members, which is Nur Afika Balkis binti Muhammad Jais, Nurul Najwa binti Khairuddin, and Nur Umi Balkis binti Muhammad Razi. So I will start with the introduction for the water pollution. Definition for water pollution is the changes of water quality that give harm to the living things and make the water unsuitable for human uses such as drinking, irrigation, and recreation. The main sources for the water pollution came from fuel spillage, waste dumping, and acid rain. A little bit history on water pollution. In 1897, a report on river pollution detailed the gross industrial contamination of the river in Wales, UK, that it was polluted by the alkali works and chemicals. In the United States, industrial chemicals and waste, including sulfuric acid and byproduct from industrial mills, contaminated waters in the Northeast. Water and air pollution in US urban areas continue to increase into the 20th century. The Cuyahoga River in Ohio, which flows into Lake Erie, becomes so polluted that the water erupted into flames. The first fire occurred in 1936 when a spark from a blowtorch ignited floating debris and oils. Over the next 30 years, the river caught fire several more times. The incident prompted the government to take swift action in controlling the water pollution become worse. In US, the public response to this accident helped create the Federal Water Pollution Control Act 1972, or commonly called the Clean Water Act 1972. This legislation provides money to improve sewage treatment plants and sets limits on the things that industry and treatment plants can discharge into the water. In Malaysia, in 2004, based on biochemical oxygen demand (BOD) parameter, 18 rivers basins in Malaysia were categorized as polluted, 37 as slightly polluted, and 65 rivers as clean. This must be juxtaposed with the fact that the main legal instrument to control water pollution is the Environmental Quality Act, enacted in 1974, together with its subsidiary legislations. And also in Turkey, they also have regulation for water pollution control 1988.
Alright, now we will move to water pollution effects towards human health. As you can see, there are three effects of water pollution towards human health. The first one is the respiratory system problems, followed by the waterborne disease and also skin and eye irritation. So the first effect is respiratory system problem. So as you know, when the water pollution occurs, it is possible that the water is polluted by the chemical pollutants. Next, when the chemical pollutants in the water evaporates into the air, it will lead to air contamination. When air contamination happens, it will lead to the respiratory system problem for those who are exposed to the polluted air. Example of the respiratory system problem is asthma and breathing difficulties. Do you know, in 2019, Sungai Kim Kim in Johor was polluted by releasement of chemical pollutants by unresponsible party? From the media article, we can conclude that Sungai Kim Kim case have big impacts towards communities, includes the students, the school, the canteen workers, and nearby communities. Do you know that few number of victims of this case were hospitalized due to the breathing difficulties? And do you know that few number of schools were closed to avoid from this case impact become big? Alright, next, waterborne disease. So for your information, when water pollution occurs, the hazardous chemical is possible released in that water sources. So when the water source polluted, it will affect to the contamination of drinking water. And then for those who consume that contaminated water, they will suffer from waterborne disease like cholera, dysentery, and typhoid fever. They also will they also will face symptoms like diarrhea, vomiting, fever, and nausea. Therefore, before we drink, make sure that the water is clean and safe. Next, we'll move to the next effect, which is skin and eye irritation. So, when the water pollution occurs, certain toxic chemical is present in polluted water can be absorbed through the skin. When this happens, it can lead to skin irritation as this chemical penetrate the skin and affect underlying tissue. It also can cause eye irritation when the volatile chemicals in polluted water evaporates and producing vapors that might irritate the eyes when inhaled. This can occur in industrial area or near water sources with high chemical concentration.
So now we'll talk about the effects to the environment. There are three of them. So firstly, the effects to the environment, which is the destruction of aquatic life that comes from the fuel spillage sources. Fuel spillage is a series of issues that affect the environment, which might be happen because of extraction, transportation, and unlawful unloading. The pollution can impact the seagoing life, fishes, birds, and more. The oil on the water surface can suffocate and poisoning the birds, fish, and other consumers. For example, the oil coats the bird's feather, obviously will affect the buoyancy and their natural waterproofing, and affects them to swing and prevent them from keep up with their internal heat level. Other than that, the aquatic ecosystem like fishes could digest and consume the oil, end up absorbing and store them into their tissues, which resulting building up gamble of disease. It also affects the development of the offspring and reduce their growth. The next effect is loss in biodiversity, which comes from waste dumping. Nowadays, waste dumping or littering is commonly happen where people just throw away the waste into the water, and some of them contain high toxicity such as mercury, cadmium, plastics, and more. It will become a threat and disrupt the aquatic species due to high ingestion of illegal waste dumped into their body. As the aquatic ecosystem habitat itself in the water, they need to consume the water to be alive, but due to high toxicity, they suffer another issues. Other than that, depletion of oxygen levels in ocean might be occur and affecting the marine life that depends on the oxygen to live. As low oxygen levels in the water body, the POD also will be increased and expansion of harmful algal blooms can be occur as high quality in the water, so it's not suitable for the drinking purpose. So last effect to the environment is extinction of species, which can be caused by the acid rain. The emission of toxic gases to environment could lead to this issue, where the acid rain is being released into the water body and affects the pH water. By this, it will affect the aquatic life because they cannot just migrate into the less acidic waters. Each species has different tolerance. Some of them can tolerate in high acidic water, and some of them cannot survive in any small changes in pH. Frequently, changes of water acidity could lead to extinction for some species. Due to this also, plant also can be affected. Their wet sea outer layer could be damaged by the acid rain and they are not be able to do the photosynthesis efficiently, and it will increase the chance of them to die. In addition, let's say if the initial loss of key species in ecosystem due to high sensitivity to acid rain can result to collapse an entire ecosystem as a lot of species depends on the key species to survive.
Now we move to the effect on economy. The first effect is selfish industry. Selfish industry on America's West Coast is threatened by the pollution and ocean acidification. The life cycle of the shellfish and other corals being interrupted by the polluted water. Shellfish cells corroded because of the acidification ocean, since the water has been polluted and the level of acid in the water is higher, where it's not suitable for the shellfish shell. Water pollution also affect the marine life and also human income because certain people who live in the water area, their income came from fishing and also came from the marine life, actually the marine life. And if the water polluted and the harmful contaminant substance contained in the marine life, and it also affect the human income, then the human can fishing. Next is water treatment costs. Water pollution increase the water treatment prices, and this is due to the additional energy cost and chemical to filter the clean water. More energy used in order to treat the contaminated water, since a lot of water has been contaminated, and the energy also will be used higher, and more energy will be used. Cost to buy the chemical for the filtration to clean the water also higher, because the water, the level of contaminant water is high. For example, the Great Lakes in Minnesota suffer from enormous algae blooms. This has increased water treatment costs by almost $4 per 1,000 gallons, according to the EPA. The last effect is tourism industry. According to EPA, almost 1 billion in revenue in loss in tourism each year because of water pollution, since it's been polluted by the harmful contaminant. The second one, the creation of algae bloom on the body of water, which lead to the health crisis. In August 2018, a red algae bloom of the Southwest coast of Florida created an emergency health, and the hospital admissions increased by 55% because of the toxic vapors emitted from the decaying algae. And it also lead to the high cost to clean up the water because of the algae bloom.
Next, we move forward to proper waste disposal. So, to prevent water pollution, we need to dispose waste with proper way. For example, we dispose of household waste, chemicals, and hazardous materials properly. Use designated disposal sites and follow the local guideline for waste disposal. And also for scheduled waste, we can dispose and treat it according to the Environment Quality Schedule Waste 2005 regulations. Next step is promote sustainable agriculture. I think community, especially farmers, can adopt farming practices that minimize runoff and soil erosion. So, I think farmers also can use organic farming method and reduce reliance on chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Step is enforce and strengthen environmental regulation. It is advocate for the enforcement of existing environmental laws and regulation. Support initiatives to strengthen and update regulation as needed to address emerging pollutants and challenges. Besides, government should take legal action towards those who committed environmental issues or problems or case. Next, we move to the regulation that related to the water pollution. The first one is Environmental Quality Act 1974, followed by Environmental Quality Schedule Waste Regulation 2005, and also Environmental Quality Sewage and Industrial Influence Regulation 1979.
Okay, for the first regulation, we have Environmental Quality Act 1974. This act provides the legal framework for environmental protection in Malaysia, including regulations related to air and water quality. Under the act, the DOE, Department of Environment, has the authority to regulate and control pollution, issue license, and set environmental standards.
As we have Environmental Quality Schedule Waste Regulation 2005, this regulation addresses the management and disposal of scheduled waste, which include hazardous waste like chemicals. Proper disposal of hazardous waste is crucial to prevent water and soil pollution. Lastly, we have Environmental Quality, Sewage and Industrial Influence Regulation 1979. This regulation and the Environmental Quality Act address the discharge of sewage and industrial influence into water bodies. They specify the permissible limits for the various pollutants and set standards for the treatment of effluents before discharge.
So lastly, I will talk about the conclusion and suggestion. Thus, there are many factors that could be lead to the water pollution. So we as a consumer, we also can be affected from many factors such as health, environment, and economy. Few ways can be taken to reduce this water pollution and increase the living quality of the consumers. So there are three suggestions for health, environment, and economy. So firstly, the health. We need to reduce the plastic usage and recycling plastics when possible. Do not litter them into the water as it will create and disrupt the health of consumers, such as human. A lot of microplastics will be contaminated in the water, affecting the marine life, which also can be consumed by the human. As by this, reducing the plastic usage could reduce the health factor and health problem of the consumers. Next, for environment, we need to dispose of household chemicals and fuel properly as it will affect the water quality. A lot of action need to be taken as the chemicals and rubbish which drain into the water body. Obviously, it will affect the cost and reduce the clean water sources. For example, we need to find a correct way or method to dispose the oil. Don't just drain it into the drain. So lastly, for the economic suggestion, is by having regulation and taxes. Few acts also were created, such as Clean Water Act, and these laws need to be established to reduce the water pollution. With the law, every action can be controlled. Government should impose the Pigouvian tax from those who pollute, which prove that it will reduce the cleanup river costs and water pollution is reduced. Other than that, government could increase funding to study about the water pollution solution, such as bioremediation, is used to reduce the pollution naturally. These all are the reference that we use. So that is all from us. Thank you.